Hey, it's David Lindell and Brandon Lindell, and this is the Path to Purpose podcast.
This is monthly content and conversations to help you live intentionally and walk in your purpose.
We couldn't be more excited that you've joined us for this episode, and we want to make sure that you subscribe and follow us on all of our social channels so you don't miss a thing.
And if the content helps you, it would mean the world to us if you left a review and shared it with someone else you think would be strengthened by it.
We hope you love this episode of the Path to Purpose podcast. Well, welcome to another episode of the Path to Purpose podcast, where we're talking about living with intentionality. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, please do. And we would love for you to write a review. And that just helps get the word out. But we are so glad you joined us for this next episode with one of our favorite people in the world, honestly, Oneka McClellan, who is married to Earl McClellan, another one of our most favorite people in the world, hailing from Dallas, Texas. Oneka, we're so glad you're with us today.
Hi, friends.
Yes.
I'm so glad to be here. Love you guys
excited.
so much. Oh, look at me having puberty voice.
Great
This
start.
is real. It's
Yeah,
real.
it's so real.
If you wondered,
Yes.
it's real.
It's real. It's so real.
We do love you guys so much, and Shoreline is an inspiration to us continually. And what is such a joy is that you guys get to be here.
Oh my gosh.
So often. We invite you as much as possible.
Yeah.
You guys are like all-time yes. Our team doesn't even have to ask us. We just like, because y'all are family, so it's a family reunion. And every time I come, I'm inspired, I'm encouraged, and it's like the best. I have some of the best ministry memories here. One year we came, and out of the blue, it was during conference season, and Earl came with me, and you guys like spontaneously celebrated his birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
No, I remember that.
Yeah.
It was like spontaneous, and he like came up to the stage, and there was a screen, and there was this whole moment, and I'm like, how do you do it? But we just always feel so loved. You guys are the best.
You guys are such a blessing. We're very excited to talk to you because there's so many things that you guys as a couple and you as an individual are very good at. And we thought we'd just kick the conversation
Let's
off
do it.
because you're quite the cook, we hear.
Okay,
Rumor
yes.
has it you're a bit of a chef.
Chef
Uh,
Oneka.
tell
I
us
know
a little
my
bit
way
about your
around the
passion
kitchen.
there.
I know my way around the kitchen. I was telling y'all earlier before we started recording, right now, all the men in my house, I have a 15-year-old son, a 20-year-old son, and then a whole husband. And they're in bulk season. So I've been tasked with upping the protein for everyone.
That's
So
so good.
I am like reading all the labels, adding protein to pancake mix, getting protein pancake mix, but then also adding protein powder. I'm always quizzed. They're like, how much protein is in that? How much protein is that? Earl is trying to get in over 150 grams a day. So it's changing up my like cooking flow. We do eat clean in our house, but I would do more like sweet potatoes and, like a protein. And that was kind of our flow. But now it's like all about the protein.
Do you and Earl
So-
both cook?
No.
It's just
No, he's amazing. Like we're a team, so we do a lot of things together, and we share the load. But not cooking at all. It's so funny. Before I came here, I had to map it out for him so that he could feel supported. Yeah, and eat.
Did he ever try, or was it like, I'm not even going to try?
He does it like it's kind of like golf for him. So everyone golfs, but he is a basketball guy. But we're in our injury era where we're kind of getting quite a few injuries. So someone in the family
Protein
said,
era and injury
Yeah.
era
Exactly.
and bulk era.
exactly.
Yeah, I
So
like that.
someone in the family suggested, like, what if you did golf? It's just, it's like low impact. Everyone, you can hang out with your friends. I'm good with you being gone, because before when the kids were young, he was like, I don't want to be gone for that long. But he kind of opened up and said, well, I'm not good at golf. I'm good at basketball. So I'm going to do something that I feel confident about.
Right, yeah.
But with that said, he just has an athlete mindset, but he just decided recently that he and the men in our house are just all about protein, all about bulking. So I've been tasked with.
When did the era begin, the protein
It
era?
started probably like 3 to 4 months ago.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we're pretty fresh into this.
we're fresh into it. Yes.
Did he
yeah.
read something? I know, right? We keep asking
No,
like,
yeah.
about what
Well,
Earl's
he's trying
thinking.
he's trying to get cut.
Okay, come
so
on.
he's already cut.
He's
like,
very cut.
You guys, I'm just gonna tell you, he has the best biceps ever. Like,
Come
if you
on.
just pay attention to his biceps, you will marvel.
I have done that,
will-
and I do marvel.
Yeah, I marvel. I'm like, you're good. But he wants to go to a whole nother level. He has a big birthday coming up in October. So like a milestone birthday. So he's like talking about Iron Man, which I don't think he's going to do. But I think it's motivating him to just like he wants to have that extra edge.
There you go.
Yeah. So.
So if you were cooking, like if we were coming over, the
Yes.
Lindells were coming over,
Yes,
and we were
yes.
like, Oneka, we just want to see all of your culinary
Yes.
gifts
Oh,
on
yeah.
display. What are
Yes.
you gonna? What is your go-to?
What I make for you guys? I would probably I have this roasted chicken recipe where it's like a whole entire chicken. And it has figs in it. And it's amazing. Figs and apple slices. Like, are you kidding me right now? Figs, apple slices, chicken with rosemary. It's crazy. So I'd make you guys that.
I'm hungry
I'd
already.
make homemade mashed potatoes. And then I have this roasted vegetable recipe that I make every Thanksgiving. So I would do that because you guys are like family. So I would want it to feel like a family meal. I wouldn't do like enchiladas. Like, we love enchiladas. But I would do more of like something that felt almost Thanksgiving because you guys are so family. So I would want family vibes.
Thanksgiving's my favorite meal.
Same.
So you would nail it if you
Yeah. Thanksgiving is my all-time favorite.
You know, do you call it stuffing or dressing?
Yeah, stuffing.
Yeah,
Stuffing.
I
Yeah.
love stuffing.
That is my signature move at Thanksgiving, you guys. I need to send you my stuffing recipe.
Yeah, what's the secret of your stuffing recipe?
Butter.
Butter.
Butter and sugar.
Oh,
It is
yeah,
like,
I want to eat it.
It's amazing. And so my mom taught me this recipe. It's cornbread. Like, you bake cornbread, but then you mix up cornbread with breadcrumbs, and then you use chicken broth, cream of chicken, all these different seasonings, and it's amazing. Last Thanksgiving, we were just all over the place in our house, so we were dabbling with Whole30 last Thanksgiving. Why do Whole30 during Thanksgiving? I don't know. Like, why would you choose that time? We did. So I had to make my stuffing recipe Whole30, and it wasn't the same.
So you're not making that mistake again.
Oh, no. I'm like, done. No. Yeah.
No healthy
January
stuff in
restart
Thanksgiving.
is like good to try Whole30. But do y'all know Whole30 here? You know,
A little bit.
A little bit.
I mean, I'm
So
familiar.
So it's basically like you eat no sugar, no carbs, and it's vegetables and meat, and like sweet potato chips.
Yeah, it's hard. That's a
it's
hard
hard.
Thanksgiving mandate.
And no
Yes.
honey.
Oh,
Yeah, nothing sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
So
sad.
I should not have done that.
I
for
mean, that
Thanksgiving.
kind of is the anti-holiday mode.
No,
Yeah.
I know. And we're big holiday, but we were like, let's just see if we can do it. Earl, I feel like in another life was like a missionary, where you like, to be a missionary, you have to have like a different kind of strength, a different kind of grit, a different kind of stank, where you're like, I don't care what food I eat. I don't care where I am. I'll be uncomfortable. I thrive being uncomfortable because it's for the people, which is incredible. And thank God. Shout out all the missionaries.
Yes,
We
yes,
love you.
we
We
love you.
appreciate you. We need you. But I think he has that makeup because he likes things that are harder. So he was like, let's try this.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, babe, but not this year.
Yeah.
So when you're prepping for Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
how far in advance do you need to start? Like, if
Okay,
you're
so-
optimally
Oh,
going to do.
so I
Oh,
love
wait.
setting tables.
Before
Yeah.
you
Tell
you
me.
answer, is it a house full of people?
It is a household.
Yeah,
people.
Okay,
Oh,
so that kind of helps
context,
me
yeah.
understand.
No, yes. So Thanksgiving, we open up our home to friends, like close friends in town who don't go home for the holidays. And then I host like 25 people Thanksgiving. Christmas is just our family, like our little, tiny family. But Thanksgiving, there's 25, 30 people. I'm already saving place settings. Like on Instagram, I'm looking at different place settings, screenshotting, like thinking about my tablecloth, napkins, florals. It's like Olympics.
So
like,
it would
I'm
be a
gonna-
new table.
Every
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Ooh,
Mhm.
special for the
Tablescape,
year.
yes.
Oh, I
Oh,
love
yeah,
that.
I nerd out. So, and then, go ahead.
I don't want to lose this question.
No,
like,
anything.
where did that come from for you?
Yes,
Because is
so-
this like a I just love it and it's just a passion thing, or is it like a personal conviction that came from somewhere?
Yes, good question. Look at you. Okay, Dr. Phil over there. So, yeah. So, growing up, I was raised by my mom. She was a single mom and just like worked super hard, provided like the best life for me. I don't have the story of like, I couldn't do XYZ because it was just my mom. My mom was like, oh no, girl, you were doing everything. And I do not, she just was like a hustler. So Thanksgiving was our favorite holiday growing up. We would drive so I grew up in Sacramento, but we would drive to San Francisco, Northern California, where my family lived. And we would have this big feast with my mom's sister and her sister's husband. His name was Uncle Fred. Uncle Fred
That
was
sounds like such a great uncle name.
Isn't it like such a great uncle name? And so Uncle Fred was like the father figure in my life. So I would visit my dad in the summers, but we didn't have like that father-daughter bond. I had that father-daughter bond with my Uncle Fred. And so we'd sit around the table. We would like laugh. We'd play cards. He'd make pies. And the way he served and honored my mom's sister was like a blueprint for me of like, when I get married, I want a husband like that. And so Earl is so much like my Uncle Fred, and my Uncle Fred is who gave me away on my wedding day.
Wow.
And just the memories that we had around their table, marked me. So then when I got married, had a family of my own, I'm like, I want to recreate that. And so that's like the origin story, because I have some of my best childhood memories at Thanksgiving. So then I took it to a whole nother level of where now I've like turned into the Olympics. And yeah, it's a sport.
That's really precious. Is Uncle Fred,
he's in
still
heaven now.
Okay.
He's in heaven, but
Okay.
he walked me down the aisle for my wedding day, and
Wow.
he just was like a man of God. He had like a scripture license plate where he just was like so committed, and he served our family so well. And so he like, that's why I did not settle when it came to my husband, because he was like that role model for me.
I think it's like, I think often about that scripture that says practice hospitality.
Yes.
And how, I mean, we hear this a lot. It's like lost in our culture.
It is, yeah.
But I think in Christianity, we don't talk about it a lot.
You're right.
You
You're
know?
right. Yeah.
But if you don't do what Uncle Fred did, then you don't get Oneka and Earl, you know, and that's pretty cool, his legacy.
The table that he set.
Yeah, well, and I mean, people obviously who are listening to this right now are being impacted by Uncle Fred, and I'm being impacted by Uncle Fred. Now, David makes pies every Thanksgiving.
Is that your thing?
Guy.
There's a bit of Uncle Fred and David.
Okay, yes, I love it.
Yeah.
What's your specialty pie? Like the one where you like this one?
I love making cherry pie. Also,
Yum.
I have a graham cracker cream pie.
Oh,
that is
stop
my
it right now.
grandmother's recipe on my
That's so
dad's
fun.
side. My kids, that's probably their favorite pie.
Yeah.
But my grandma on my mom's side is a cream pie person.
Okay.
And with some fruit mixed in.
Okay.
So I would rather have pie than cake.
Yes.
That would be my
Your
jam.
thing.
It depends on the crust, but if it's a
Okay.
flaky, buttery crust,
Oh, yeah.
pie all day.
Oh, yes.
Key lime pie, banana cream pie, coconut cream pie,
Yum.
apple pie, cherry pie. I'm listing all these pies,
No, you're
hoping that
making me
there's some
hungry.
pie chef out there
That
who's
is
like,
like-
I want to bless him. No.
Exactly. Yes. They're like,
I
I'm going
love
to sponsor
making
this
them, though.
episode.
Yeah.
I love apple pie. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm a dessert. I'm the dessert maker in our house.
That's your,
and I
like-
would, Becky and I probably 60% I'm the cook.
Okay.
40% she is. So.
No, that's fun. You more and more you meet husbands that can like really get after it in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
very cathartic for me. Like
Yeah.
I get a lot of joy out of,
That's awesome.
as long as maybe if somebody else is doing the cleaning. I do
No,
the
yes,
cooking.
yeah. That's what we tag team. Yeah, we tag team.
Yeah,
I'm the
absolutely.
night shift with the kids. So if anything goes down in the night, like the night, the evening, I'm tasked. But middle of the night, Earl is the one.
Oh, yeah.
So if like one of our kids has an upset stomach in the middle of the night,
That's Earl.
he is on base, and I'm so grateful. And
That's
I'm
awesome.
knocked out
And that's been from the beginning.
from the very beginning. Yeah.
Does he automatically wake up, or do
He
you do
automatically,
like a
because he
hit?
sleeps like so light. Like if I cough, he's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Babe, I just coughed. Everything's fine." He sleeps very light. I'm out, you guys. Like I'm out.
Good
He
for
has
you.
to
Yeah.
he has to like wake me up and shake me.
So it's probably more work for him to wake you up than to just take care of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the next morning he's like, "Do you know what you slept through?" I'm like, "Babe, but during the day, all the kids' camps and all the responsibilities, I'm your girl.
Yeah.
Middle of the night, you got it."
Yeah,
I
but
love it.
that becomes less and less as your kids get older, though. So
Exactly,
really,
yes.
he's probably had
He's doing
some
great. Yeah.
night's sleep. So.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah.
Well, on Uncle Fred, because I love
Yes.
this Uncle Fred story.
Yes.
I'm also curious. I know you've talked about it before,
Yeah.
and Earl's shared about it, but in terms of origin story,
Sure.
I can't remember when you came to Christ or like how that happened.
Yes. So I grew up going to church. So my mom would take us to church, but we would just go to go. So more out of like a habit or out of religion, but not out of relationship. I always believed in God, and I would say I was like God fearing, but I did not live in such a way that reflected like Jesus had changed my life.
What type of church was this?
Yeah, it was Presbyterian. So it was like a great place. We had like a youth group and like fun kids. So it was like we would just go, but I didn't know who I was in Christ at all. I just went out of obligation and out of loyalty. And then I went away to college, and I started working at a clothing store, and there was this coworker who kind of trained me, and she was so fun and so full of life and so cute. And I was like, I like her. Like, I want to get to know her. So we were like straightening the store one night, and we just started talking. And I was like, "You're so fun." I said, "How old are you?" And she goes, "I'm 21. I said, "You're 21? I said, "That means you can go to the club and not have to use a fake ID at the bar." And she's like, "Actually, Oneka," she goes, "that's not my scene." She said, "I'm a Christian." And when she said those words, "I'm a Christian," something just marked me, because I thought, well, I'm a Christian too, but something about her life, she was living a life that was different from me. And it marked me where I thought, what's different about her than me? Because we're both Christians, but she's clearly living completely different than me. But she didn't judge me. She wasn't like, oh, look at you wanting to go to the clubs and the bars with a fake ID. Like, I'm going to work on you. She just loved me. And we'd go get pie together after work.
I love how pie is
pie is like a
true.
theme. Yeah. We would literally go get pie after work and like
That's
sit
awesome.
and talk and laugh for hours. And she just befriended me. And so just me watching her life marked me, where I thought, how can you be so fun? She was so cool, so comfortable in her own skin. She didn't feel the need like to have a boyfriend. I was so mesmerized that she wasn't dating because she's so beautiful. Wow. But she like told me her story, and she was like, I used to date all the time, and I used to be in a sorority, and I just got caught up in the whole party scene. But then I gave my life to the Lord, and I just realized that there was a different way that I could live, and that mesmerized me because she was so fun. I didn't know you could be fun, dress great, and love God. And so it was her example that slowly but surely drew me to Christ.
So I'm just taking away from that you knew a lot of Christians that potentially weren't fun and didn't dress very great.
I didn't know you could I thought Christianity was for old people. Like I thought after you lived your life, after you had your fun, then you decided to live for God.
Got serious or whatever.
Yeah.
So when you started to have those pie conversations, did you already know Earl?
No, not at all. Yeah, it was before Earl. Yeah, I was in like a super unhealthy relationship. I was dating this guy. When I was in college, before I transferred to ORU and before I got serious about Jesus, my standards were handsome, like good dresser, and believed in God. Okay. So those are my standards.
So believed in God was in the Matrix.
Vague. It was it was vague though. You didn't have to have a conviction.
Just be kind of religious.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So have you now you're a leader, you're pastoring. So
Jory changed my life though. Her name was Jory.
Jory, do you
Shout
know
out
her
Jory.
still?
I still know her.
Wow.
They're still in college ministry.
That's awesome.
And we get to support them now, be a part of on their ministry team. But yes, I still know her. She invited me to church after knowing me for I want to say 6 to 8 months. She would always invite me and always cancel. And then finally I came to church. I walked in. So
you would say, yeah, sure, I'll come with you. And then you cancel later.
I would always cancel because I would go off the night before. I would party with my friends. I was a hot mess, you guys. Yeah. And Thursday
were you canceling
Saturday,
just because you wanted to sleep in or whatever? Or because you're I don't want to go to church?
I was I don't want to go to church. Yeah. I was I'm too tired. I want to have my Sunday. But I would always tell her I would go. And then I would always cancel. But she never gave up. She never shamed me, never guilted me, never judged me. She never was like, do you realize what you're doing on the weekends? Eternity is at stake. She just loved me. And it was that consistent, non-judgmental love. She just lived her life. Her life was the greatest example for me because finally I went. And that Sunday that I walked into those doors and I saw all these people that were I saw young and old, but they were fun, full of life. They were worshiping God. And the pastor at the end gave the altar call and he said, anyone here who wants to accept Jesus into their heart? And I shot my hand up. Wow. It wasn't even, should I not? My hand just shot up. And I literally felt like I went from darkness to light. Amazing. And I had one of those holy encounters where instantly my life turned around. It was like a Paul, Saul, Sarah moment where I literally from that moment went home, called my boyfriend, broke up with my boyfriend, stopped partying, stopped getting drunk. That I had one of those kind of encounters where I never looked back. And
when you look back on it, in the transformation was I don't even want this anymore.
It instantly, I did not want it anymore. I did not want it. It was not should I, shouldn't I? Yeah. And it was hard to break up with my boyfriend. Of course, it was hard to have that conversation. Yeah. But thank God for the local church. Yes. Thank God for Jory and her sister who mentored me, who taught me to read my Bible. She said, let's start with the book of John. Yeah. And as I was contemplating, should I have this conversation with my boyfriend? Should I not? She said, would Jesus be proud of this relationship? And
what a great question.
Wow.
I was like, no, he would not. She goes, there's your answer. And the life that I live now, married to my best friend who from the moment we started dating has honored me, spoken life over me, and just showed me this is what it looks like to walk in purity and honor in a relationship. I would have never had that had I not walked into that church, had I not met Jory. The Lord pursued me and knew that I love fashion and clothing. And so he sent someone in a clothing store
Yeah.
to rescue me.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
I think I want to go back to just a thought that you gave, because I think it's important for people to think about that it wasn't one or the other. And
Right.
oftentimes we like to plant those in camps. It's like, it's not what you say, it's how you live.
Right,
Like,
right.
you know, preach the gospel.
Yeah.
When necessary, use words.
Yes.
And then we have other people who are like, you know, just go for the jugular, which
Right.
I know there's people who can do that well,
Yeah.
but it's really both, isn't it?
Yes.
It's
totally.
like Jory's living a
Yes.
life that you're like, man, there's a lot of things about that I don't have.
Exactly.
But she's also answering the question of where it came from.
Well, yeah, funny that you say that because there was a turning point. So she invited me to, there was a campus ministry event that I didn't know it was a ministry event. So because the title was Love, Sex, and Dating. So I thought, oh, that's fun. I'm in college. I want to go to a seminar on love, sex, and dating. I didn't know that it was from a Christian perspective and that it was
She
put
kind of
on-
went with the sneak attack
She
there.
did do a sneak attack. So I go, and it's this whole presentation on love, sex, and dating from a biblical perspective. And there's these like men and women there talking about like honoring your spouse and like living a different way. And I had never heard of that. Like that was all so new to me. And so it opened up my eyes. I thought, what? You can be honored in a relationship. I had never heard that. I watched my Uncle Fred love his wife really well, but when it came to dating, I didn't know that was even possible. I didn't know that you could pray and ask God to send you like a spouse. Like all of that it was like a foreign language to me, but it also was mesmerizing to me in the best way, and it pulled on something a deep felt need that I didn't know that I had, which was to be cherished and be honored. So I listened to the presentation. I was blown away. And so we were driving home that night. And in the car, I said, it opened up something in my heart. So I said to Jory, I said, what do you think God thinks about the way I'm living my life? Like, what do you think he thinks about me partying Thursday through Saturday, all the choices that I'm making? I had never asked her anything like that before. And so her spirit was ready. And she literally said to me, and she'd never talked to me like this before. She said, Oneka, she said, it's sin. And she said the wages of, I said, but I always apologize. Because I knew that I was not living in a way that was pleasing to God. I knew that, like in my soul. So I'd always make all those choices. And I'd always go, I'm sorry, God. And then, a new day. And so I said, I always apologize to God after I make all these bad choices. I said, what do you think he thinks about the way I'm living? And she said, Oneka, the wages of sin is death. And when she said that, all of a sudden, I'd never had like the fear of the Lord and a desire to want to fully, truly surrender and honor the Lord with every fiber of my being. But that scripture, that verse, at that moment, like my heart was ready. That's what catapulted me to wanting to go to church, like to not cancel.
Yeah.
But she had never talked like that straight to me before. Wow. But I think she had been praying for me, obviously, for a very long time. And she knew, so it was both and. It was like that like hard-hitting scripture that I needed. Like I needed that in that moment. My soul was ready.
Well, I love how she didn't actually like, you're like, what do you think God thinks of that? And she didn't like put words in God's mouth to be like, well, I guess probably he would think she just goes, well, scripture says, which is truth.
So powerful.
It's like that just makes it once again non-judgmental.
Exactly.
It makes it like, well, this is what the Bible says.
Exactly.
And so you have to deal with that,
Right.
that truth.
But it was like the word rightly divided. Like it was literally what I needed in that moment.
Yeah, and she had made all of these deposits along the way relationally.
Exactly.
So you
and I
knew
knew she loved me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, what a difference that makes.
I know.
I wonder, as you're talking about, her name is Jory, like, because I've got this. So Oneka
Yes.
wrote a book this
Aw.
year, and we're so excited about it. We sell it, obviously, locally at all of our campuses. But when I am listening to you talk about Jory, and I'm listening to you talk about your relationship with Uncle Fred and kind of like the setting of the table, to me, I'm guessing all of that formed in a big way the way you view the whole topic that you tackled in the book, because Jory was modeling something and speaking life over you in a way that sounds like up till that point, it's not that nobody was speaking life over you, but she was doing it in a very different way and shaping, in some ways, the way you saw yourself as
1000%.
As a daughter of God.
Exactly.
I mean, did you have that concept in your mind, like prior to your relationship with Jory?
I did not know that, like, I always have been joyful. So even though my mom was a single mom, we had an atmosphere of joy in our home. So I've always been joyful. I've always been, the glass is like half full. It's not half empty. I've always been like smiley. I got in junior high, I was like middle school voted nicest smile. So I've always been smiley,
Not a surprise.
huggable and joyful. Like that's just how the Lord made me. But I did not know about my value. And I did not know that I did not have to settle. I didn't know that like I was fearfully and wonderfully made. I didn't know that God had a plan and purpose for my life. All of that was new. I didn't know I was a royal daughter. I learned all of that from Jory and being planted in God's house.
So like the smile, the huggability, the optimistic personality became a cover for insecurity prior to Christ, but after that kind of comes out of that relationship with Christ.
I think because the atmosphere of our home was not a sad like home, and my mom never was like, you know what, if your dad was here, we'd be able to do this. She was really great with her language, and she was like, she was basically like, we're going shopping, you know? So we would she would take me on like shopping trip. We had like some of our best memories shopping. So she almost like, now that I look back, she probably spoiled me. Ask Earl. And so, but I think it was her way of saying like, I just want to overcompensate for you not having a father figure in the home. So I did grow up with a joyful home, but I think falling in love with Jesus gave me like a depth and like a sincerity and a richness. I was more surface joy, but then when I fell in love with Jesus, I had like a deep well of joy. But I wasn't like, oh, I'm ugly, nobody loves me.
Yeah.
I just settled all the time. I didn't know my value and I didn't know my worth. Yeah.
Well, and I think you and Earl are so good at helping people then understand their value.
Yes.
You know, you have this saying that we've adopted, which is, you know, when you walk into a room, it's, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like this is part of the Shoreline culture, at least from my vantage point. It's not a here I am culture. Right. It's a there you are culture.
Yes. Yes.
And we got that. I don't know if that language originated with you guys, but that resonated with us.
We stole it from someone and it's like
great.
Marked our life.
Yeah, let's keep stealing.
Yes.
Let's do
yes,
it.
exactly.
No, and it's so powerful. And it's what great perspective. And I think when you walk in and you're looking to other people, you're looking to their needs and you're not just trying to say like, it's all about me. What you are saying, you're preaching a sermon to them about the value they have as a person created in the image of God. And you guys just have modeled that so well. And I think regardless of where it came from, you guys are stewarding it. Wow. And one of the things, like, I think it's, obviously it came from interactions with Uncle Fred and then a variety of other places. I'm sure your mom, I'm guessing your mom was a style person.
She was. Yes.
But like you have such, like there's such joy in design and style and aesthetic and spaces. And recently, very recently, in a sermon, you were talking about Bezalel. And like first person in scripture said to be filled with the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
And he's tasked with designing tabernacle. Like he's doing craftsmanship. He's like architecture, design, color palette. He's doing all these things. And when you were talking about it, I was like, Oneka has that gift. Like that to me, like that's part of the grace of God on your life. And I think a lot of times we think in terms of ministry primarily or calling primarily in terms of speaking, writing, teaching, maybe like leading.
Right.
And yet we miss maybe the value God places on. Isn't it interesting? Like the first person said to be filled with the Holy Spirit is a craftsperson, like craftsman, like is a designer.
Right.
And so I was just curious what you think in terms of your own calling, because obviously you're a really dynamic speaker. You're a great communicator, awesome writer, but you have this amazing gift for creating spaces. And I'm curious what you would say about why God values that and what you've seen that do in the lives of people. Because obviously you guys, even on Instagram, people can tell Shoreline cares deeply about the feel of the environment. But why does it? Because I think there's a lot of confusion around that. I think people are like, why does this matter? Who cares about that?
Yes,
but obviously it matters a lot. So I think even shedding some light on that, because I do think there's like a critical spirit
there is 1000%
point the finger at that and go, what a waste of time.
Exactly.
But obviously God doesn't think it's a waste of time.
Right.
So,
well, I feel like God, I've heard your mom say, like, Pastor Debbie, love is in the details.
Right.
And I feel like people at our church, they feel so seen when we set tables for them and they notice the details and they notice the great length, you know, that we all go through to set a table for someone to make people feel seen. And we live in a world that people don't feel thought of or seen. And so when we take the time to set the table, and it depends on your season. So when we were first like a baby church and our church had like 15 people, what that looked like for us is I would go to the grocery store, I would find pretty napkins, and we would get coffee from a local coffee store, and I would color coordinate the cups that matched the napkins, and that was setting the table.
Right.
But so I think you don't have to have a large budget to set a table to make someone feel seen. But even in those days when we were in this like little nursing home that was $50 a month to rent, and we sat in this little amphitheater, there was like 15 to 20 people, and we set out the coffee and the cookies and the little napkins that match the cups. Those little details like matter to people, and it feels like thoughtful.
Yeah.
And it feels like you thought enough about me to set a table for me. And I think about Solomon when they were building the temple, they were so specific about all the colors and the details and the designs and the size and the length of someone. And I feel like the comments that I get all the time, most of the people are saying, thank you so much. Like when we do a photo wall, you know, at our church, and we like nerd out just like y'all do, like, okay, what color should that photo wall be? Should it be light pink? Should it be dark pink? Should it be neon pink? All those little details that then though people have those photos saved on their phone when they take a family photo on Father's Day or Mother's Day or what they commemorate and mark a moment, and they look back on those photos. And then as their kids get older, they're like, remember when we took that photo? Right. And so they become memories and milestones in people's lives. And so many people from our church, because we've been able to set the table for them, now do that for their families. So the way that they celebrate their kids' birthday parties and the way that they set the table for their families, they've learned so much even from the house of God, which is such an honor. But I do think right now in our era, people have too much time on their hands. And so they're like thinking of things to like get mad at the church about. And I am just like, are you kidding me right now? Like, you're mad that I want to love people with details. Are you kidding me? So I just think that there's people at home that just are bored and they just want to think of things to like pick at. But I feel like our world appreciates details. Yeah. And even if you're on the mission field and a family that lives in the country that you're serving invites you over for dinner, you feel so honored that they're making a meal for you. Right. Like the meal that they eat, you get to experience that. And you leave feeling like, I can't believe I got to try XYZ. Yeah. And so no matter if you're on a mission field or if you're in like a big city and you have access to napkins that match the cups, people feel seen when you care enough about the details.
Yeah, and it speaks to, once again, like David's saying, like the heart of God and the creativity of God.
Exactly.
Like heaven is not boring.
Exactly.
You know, and heaven's not ugly.
Right.
Heaven is beautiful. So if the house of God is going to represent heaven, it doesn't necessarily need to be elaborate. Like you're saying, you can do it. You can show care in a nursing home. You know, or you can show care in a small venue.
Exactly.
But the detail that you put into it when people walk in and like things look nice.
Yes.
It really does speak to their value and how they don't actually think of whoever in the church did it as much as they do think like God values me. I feel seen by God.
And obviously, when you mix the Spirit of God with details, it is a holy combination. Yes. Obviously, we don't put, I think about the people out there who are like, well, what about God's presence? Like, obviously, it's God's presence breathing on those details.
That's right.
And it is just like a stunning combination. And the kids at our church, they love being at church. They cannot wait to get to church. They run up and down the hallways. They beg their parents to get them to God's house. And I feel like not only do they feel the presence of God there, not only do they see their friends there, but they also love that we dream big. Yeah. And I feel like the parents who go to our church are so thankful that they're a part of a church like James River, where we're going to dream big. And we're going to say, what could be done? What could we do? And then you have this culture of big dreamers. And then that impacts the way you see your kids on the football field. It impacts the way that you steward your business. Yeah. It impacts the possibilities that could take place in your family when you're in an environment that is not like in a little safe box.
Right. Yeah, I think that's great. And what also I feel you've demonstrated through the conversation is that your purpose has like cascading effect. It's almost a bit of a domino effect when you live out your purpose. now you're talking about people setting a table in their home. Like they didn't care about it before.
Right, exactly.
But because they saw it modeled by their pastors and
Yes.
they saw it modeled in God's house,
yes.
they're now doing it in their own house.
And in their businesses. Like
yeah.
I watch the way that like different, like we have a ton of people in real estate in our church. And now I watch the way they set up their open houses. And I'm like, hey, we did that at Christmas Eve. You know, it's so special to get to influence and impact the business leaders in our church, but even the families. Yes.
Well, and it's interesting. God cares about
He does
all of those details, and he cares about, as
Exactly.
Brandon talked about, heaven. But I think we forget that when we're doing things like setting up for a Father's Day
Exactly.
or preparing a conference environment or even a weekend service,
Right.
that in some way, everything that we do should be reflecting the character of God.
Yes. Yes.
So it's not just that the preaching or
Exactly.
the music,
You're right.
obviously massive
Sure.
importance on that.
Right.
But if we undervalue
Exactly.
the way that somebody feels when they get their parking spot or
Yes,
when they're
when they walk in
greeted
the
at the
doors.
door or they
Exactly.
get a cup of coffee,
Exactly.
well, then I think we're tearing at the seams of the whole
Exactly.
experience.
Yes.
And we are undercutting what we actually say is important. Because
Right.
if the message is important, then
Right.
setting the table to hear the message
Exactly.
ought to be just as
Very
important.
much so. Exactly.
Because that opens, I think a lot of times we'll talk about like the way somebody feels when they come on the property
Yes.
is setting the table for them responding to an invitation to receive Christ.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If they don't feel loved and valued from
Right.
the
Or
outset,
seen.
yeah, then what is that should validate
Exactly.
the proclamation of the gospel.
Exactly. And I feel like it's peeling off because I feel like when we walk into the doors of church and when people are coming through the doors, they, could have gotten in an argument with their spouse. They could be struggling with their teenager. They could be losing money in their company. They could feel insecure. They could be on top of the world. You name it, like all the different people and stories that are walking through the doors. And I feel like, to your point, each layer, when there's someone waving them for a spot at like park here, like they feel seen. That's like wiping something off from their week. Then they get to a door and someone has a sign or a bright smile. Oh my goodness, you value me. I feel seen right now. I live in a world where I feel so invisible and that I don't measure up. And someone at the door just smiled at me. Are you kidding me? And then you go get a cup of coffee and you're like, what? I can get coffee and have something warm in my hand?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? And then you walk in the room and there's an usher that helps you find, like, that's not real life. Like in real life, you're trying to survive. You're like fighting traffic.
Yeah.
You're trying to get your kids ready. And so to come to the house of God and to feel like someone is thinking of you with every single detail, but also praying for you and believing God for him to meet you, I feel like all those details help wash off all the cares of this world that we brought into the doors. And it's just like layer by layer, getting our heart in a position to ready to receive.
Yeah, I love how you're articulating that thought of seen, because it seems to me as through the conversation that on the top layer there is the hospitality aspect, or
sure.
the like, hey, I love coordinating a great table setting.
Yes.
Or I love making a great atmosphere.
Right.
But the base layer under that is this idea of people felt like somebody saw them.
Exactly.
Like people felt like I matter.
Exactly.
And I do think that is important to kind of just say very clearly for everybody listening, because it is confusing to people right now, because the loudest voices right now are the critical voices of
very
this
loud.
whole concept.
They're very loud.
Not to attack them, the people who want to say whatever they want to say, it's great. But the important thing for everybody to know is like, hey, we represent the heart of God best when we stop our busy lives or stop just caring about what's important to us.
Right.
And we say, I'm going to do something that shows value to you. I'm actually going to see this hurting person. I'm going to think about who is walking through the doors of the house, of the house of God on Sunday. What are they going through?
Right.
And how can I represent God's heart to them?
Exactly.
And I love how you couple it with the Spirit of God, because it's so true. In the house of God, you have the presence of God. And when you have the presence of God and an usher showing you to your seat, there's something on that that takes it beyond what it actually is.
Exactly.
And so I just thank you for articulating that, because I think it's so needed in our culture today.
It is very cool. And the way that you guys model, you and Earl model caring about that together, because it doesn't seem to me that he's like, oh, that's Oneka's thing.
Right. No.
Like you guys value it together. I'm curious though, because I'm guessing, I know Earl's origin story is not the same as yours. And so learning the value of setting a table and then stewarding that desire together, was that a journey, or from the outset, did you guys both understand like this is important and it's just now figuring out what that's going to look like?
Yes, he now really values it, like really, really values it, appreciates it, and knows how important it is. And he talks about it all the time. When we first started out, he did not appreciate it as much, but then so many people commented that they felt so seen and they felt so cared for and they felt so thought of. Then it became, it's an adopted value of his. And now he's all about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and it does seem to me like...
And he notices it now.
Yeah.
He notices it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure he does. Well, and you can tell like the man has style. Like he's like, so I think he understands the value of aesthetic, but I think also that journey of leading together, because you guys are leading Shoreline, and it's not that you're over here on the side doing your thing and then he's doing this.
Right.
You guys lead with such beautiful like unity of spirit and purpose. And I'm curious, like, what are some of the things that have cultivated that? Because obviously you've got values, then related to your story and all of those things. But along the journey, it seems like every year, which hopefully is true for every one of us, that whoever we're leading with and leading alongside, you're leading with greater, you're synced up even better. And you guys are married, so that obviously helps a great deal with that syncing.
Yes.
But there is a shared value system that has to be cultivated. And I know that there are probably a lot of couples listening to this who lead together because that model is, praise God, it's very prolific. But what would you say are some of the things that have helped you develop that shared value system and then step into any season with a unity of vision for the season?
Yes. I would say when we first were in ministry together, we had different roles in the church. So we were on staff at a church for 12 years, an amazing church in Austin, Texas. And so I served with the women's ministry, and I worked really closely with the pastor's wife. And then he was an executive pastor. And then eventually I started joining in on the executive team meetings, but we had separate roles in the church. But then when God called us to Dallas to plant our church, it was the first time that we like lived together, worked together, drove to the office together. I mean, we didn't have an office then, but like we'd go to a coffee shop and like plan things for the church. But we did everything together. Before, we had our family dynamic together, but then we served in different areas of the church. So this is the first time that we had to build something together outside of our family. And it was a bumpy start because I love like giving, I'm like a dreamer. I'm like, what if we did this? What if we went there? What if we tried this? What if you called this leader? And he'll say this. So this is why I'm able to share this today, because he says it all the time. He had trouble with all my ideas at the beginning because he now says that at that early stages of the infancy of our church that he did not have confidence. And he thought my ideas were saying, you can't do it, Earl. And my ideas were just, I want to do this with you. Let's go. But because his heart was at an insecure place, because it was a big deal. We left a city that we had so much community in, started all over again, sold our house, and our kids were crammed into a very small space. And we were just like, had this dream in our heart, but we didn't know anyone. We didn't have a launch team. We didn't have like a venue or a space. It was literally like scrappy pioneer vibes. And so all those pressures of like, can I do this? Am I going to be good at this? God, did you really call me? He was facing all of that. So when I would suggest things, he was hearing it as like, Earl, you can't do this. And so finally we had this one night where we had this like huge heart to heart. And I was like, babe, I'm just trying to help. And so then the biggest thing for Earl, whenever we like can't come into agreement on something, he's like, I don't know. He's kind of like a male Mother Teresa. He's very like godly. And so he's definitely the bigger Christian in our relationship. So he'll go away and spend time with God and like get on his knees and like flesh it out with the Lord to find out, what is this? Like, why can't I get into agreement with Oneka? Like, why is there friction here? So he'll like dig deep. So he dug really deep. And then the Lord showed him, you're insecure. And you're not relying on me. You think you're going to fail. And that's why you're like resistant to the ideas that Oneka is bringing. And so we had this whole epiphany and come to Jesus that like changed the way we lead together. And so then from that moment on, he's like, tell me what you think. I want to do this together. I'm here. I was hearing that you didn't think I could do it, but I know you believe in me. I know you love me. And so he had to kind of destroy and dispel that lie. But I don't blame him. We're like in a new city. He's trying to like provide for our family. We're also trying to launch a church. So he has all these like fears coming at him. But then the Lord reminded him, like, this is my church. I'm going to build it. I've given you this wife that wants to come alongside of you. So it wasn't always like easy. But he had that breakthrough moment. And from that moment on, we've been a team.
So had you seen models for like husband and wife leadership prior to that you were like, we want to do this, or we are going this direction?
Right.
Okay.
I feel like I did feel like we saw couples in ministry that were building together, but you think you have an idea, and then until you step in it and you're like in the seat and you're like, oh, okay. And we like defer to one another. The way that we word it in our context is he's like the architect and I'm the general contractor. So he'll like give like the big play for like, this is the word that God's given us for the year. But then I'm like on the ground with the people, with the staff, with our team, fleshing out that word or that big idea that God gave him.
So so you kind of like working in a coffee shop, is the story of Shoreline like just like crazy fast, like chaotic growth, or is it like we hit some walls? Yeah, we hit some walls. We had some moments where we were like, is this going to work? Or, right. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So it started out just Earl and I and our two boys. And we moved to Dallas, Texas. We did not have a team. We just came by ourselves out of obedience because we felt like God called us. And the church that we came from in Austin, they gave us our blessing. They gave us a blessing. They're like, we don't want you to go, but we'll bless you because we believe in you. And now to this day, they're like, it was like the best and the right thing. They were super humble leaders, and I'm so grateful and tender, but also something that's a really important detail of this story is when we felt called by God to start our own church, we brought it to our leaders. We sat with them and we said, should we do this? Are we crazy? We literally
hadn't already decided in your heart and mind.
We didn't meet with them to tell them what we were doing. We trusted them, and they had proven themselves for years and years and years to be so trustworthy, so for us. We spoke all the time. We were like on the platform helping lead the church. So they had like opened up their lives and their hearts to us. And so the least we could do was invite them in on this dream that God gave us. So we invited them in. We told them that this is the dream that we had. And we said, but we're giving it back to you because we trust you as our leaders. And we will not move on this until you tell us that we should. We submitted it to them. So they said, can we have some time to pray about it? And we said, of course. So they prayed about it. And of course, they were like, we love y'all. We want to keep doing this with you. What can we do to keep you? And we said, we do feel like this is something that God gave to us. And they said, then because of that, we want to bless and honor you because of the way that you're bringing it to us. So they said, can we just all pray on this for some time? So we prayed on it and prayed on it and prayed on it. And it was from the time we brought it to them to the time we announced to the church we're like moving to another city 4 hours away. Keyword, other city, 4 hours away. Yeah. Major important part of the story.
Big
because
piece.
We could have like gone down the street and like the church would have blown up because we were on the platform all the time. Yes, and we could have caused division and so much confusion. But we wanted to honor our leaders because of the way that they honored us. And so long story short, from the time we first met with them till the time they were putting us on stage telling the church that we were moving, that was probably over 2.5 year process. Yeah. And so we had to be very patient and continue to trust them. We gave them the timetable. So we waited to move until they felt like it was the right time in their hearts, the heart of God and the heart of the church.
Were they taking you like, was there a lot of ambiguity in that timeline, or was it like
they weren't like, okay, every 3 months we're going to touch base about this. We literally just gave them our dream and we just had to trust. But it was very difficult because we're ready to go. We want to sell our house and like pioneer. But if we say we're going to trust our leaders, then we have to trust our leaders even when it didn't make sense to us, the timetable.
Yeah. Wow.
But we had coffee with a mentor in the city who was good friends with our pastors. And that mentor said, the way that you leave will be the way that you start. And if you honor the position and the seat that you have in this house, God will honor you when you move to your new city. And can I tell you, I'm convinced that the people that we get to build our church with now, the people that come to our church, the miracles that we see, the breakthrough, the favor, I feel like it's because of the way we left our last post. And I think that's a really important part of our story.
Yeah, I think it's good that you bring that up, because I often think in conversations like this about that scripture that says, God will not be mocked. A person will reap what a man reaps, so man or woman. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people think about that.
No, they don't. We're in a very entrepreneurial era where everyone wants to do their own thing, and you see someone do something and you think it's so easy. And even though we were so close with the pastors that we ran with in Austin, so close, and they invited us into our life, we did life with them, we went on trips with them, we were there with them at their highest of highs and lows of lows. Even as executive pastors, we thought we understood what it took to build a church. And even sometimes when calls would be made of okay, we're going to put budget towards this and not budget towards that, I do remember going oh man, but we need such and such for the youth or whatever. But we had to trust that they were getting wisdom from heaven. Yeah. But then when we moved to a new city, completely started all over again, we had a whole different reverence for the chair that they sat in and the calls that they had to make. And it's hard. Yeah. It is so hard. It is not as easy. I thought because we were a part of a life-giving church and we kind of experienced, we had a front row seat, I thought we were going to move to Dallas and it was going to blow up, and we were going to have the grace because we already had dirt on our nails from the other church we were a part of. And it broke us. And it broke
everybody was "Ooh, this is so encouraging."
Yeah, it literally broke us.
Did you ever feel like you might shut the doors of Shoreline and be like, this isn't working?
I never thought that we would shut the doors, but I did always. I missed the familiarity. I missed the provision. I missed the favor. We were in Austin for 12 years, so we had built a solid reputation. I missed having hundreds of volunteers, and if you dream up something, you could send a group text and hundreds of volunteers would just show up and be ready. It was just us. And I missed the security for our family. My kids, when we lived in Austin, were in a private school by the grace of God and just had a solid, steady life. When we moved to Dallas, we had to move from place to place to place. Our church kept having to move. We kept having to move. And the toll that it took on us physically, emotionally, spiritually, I don't think I accounted for or understood the spiritual warfare that comes with taking ground and territory. I feel like being under the covering of our pastors, that they shielded and protected us and took a lot of hits that we didn't even know about till we started our own church. And I never thought about closing the doors of Shoreline City, but I did think, Earl, you might have to do this without me. It makes me a little bit emotional to think, but when we moved there, both my son and I got to Dallas, we got super sick. And we got we had all these physical challenges. And there was this one night we both all of a sudden got asthma, which is so crazy. I've had allergies growing up, but I had never had asthma. And I feel like the devil came for our health. And so we couldn't figure out what was wrong with me at this one point. And I literally was I literally thought, I'm not even being exaggerating, I wondered if I was going to die because I felt that physically sick. And I remember one night, it was our lowest point of church planning, lowest point. I remember turning to Earl and I said, babe, if I don't make it through whatever this sickness is, I need you to keep leading this church without me. And by the grace of God, we figured out what was going on and got me the right medicine, got Parker the right medicine. But it was a very dark time for us as a family because we felt like if I would have known the cost that it would have, the toll that it took on our family to build this thing, if God would have showed me all the challenges and all the battles, I don't know if he would have given us the playbook if we would have signed up for it. And I think he did that to protect us because he knew it was part of the cost of saying yes to anything. There's always sacrifice. There's always a battle. There's always resistance. But I do think those battles are what have built us. And I feel like that's why we're let's go, because we've been at the lowest of lows, because we were making butter noodles, that's what we would literally make noodles. I would make butter noodles. My kids didn't know that I didn't have, they didn't know. Yeah. They didn't know I was getting fancy with these butter noodles. I was I'm going to splurge and get pine nuts. So I added pine nuts to the butter noodles just to kind of make it real.
Their minds.
They didn't know that it was a struggle.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It was a struggle. And so I never thought about closing the doors of the church, but I did think like maybe I'm not going to be able to do this, and then Earl's going to have to do it without me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild. It's a wild ride.
Well, and I think what's so beautiful about you unpacking that is there are a lot of people who God puts dreams in all of our hearts.
Yes.
And yet, and you alluded to this, because of the cultural moment we're in, we tend to see lives of people that we respect in snapshots.
Yes.
And for a variety of reasons, people end up most of the time putting their highlight reel on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, which is not bad, like celebrating those wins, but it can give, I think, a false read for especially a lot of, like, whether it's young 20s or through that decade, and you're feeling God wants you to build something, but I think it can extend all the way up into 30s, 40s, 50s.
For sure.
God put something in your heart, and it's human nature to want it yesterday.
Right.
And to feel, I think, in this moment that's realistic.
Right.
And I think it's refreshing to hear somebody tell the journey of struggle and of pain and of sickness and spiritual warfare, which is real, by the way.
Yes.
And if you do anything God tells you to do, and you say yes and you step into it, it's a foregone conclusion.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Right.
That battle's in front of you. And so I would just commend you, say thank you once again.
Yes.
Oneka McClellan, you are helping us, inspiring us.
Yes.
Because it's just a good reminder. Like, that's the way this works.
Right.
And so we're just so thankful for you and Earl.
Oh my gosh, we love y'all so much.
Well, we love you guys too.
It's like a special, like, our families have a very special bond. Yeah.
100%. And just your transparency in this conversation, your willingness to, I think maybe in the show notes, we're going to get your Thanksgiving recipe pro tips or something.
Yes, got you.
But just generosity of spirit defines you guys. And it is something that is so clearly on display every time we have a conversation, every time you're in this house or we bump into you somewhere around the country, around the world. Yeah. So thank you for investing. It's really, really special. And Shoreline is family to us.
Yeah.
You guys are family to
well,
us.
and thank you for articulating principles that I think come from your journey that I believe help a lot of people.
Praise God.
I mean, you're talking about Uncle Fred. You're talking about the girl who mentored you.
Jory,
what was her name?
yes.
Jory, pouring into you. You know, you're talking about just different points in your life where you're like, this happened, and this is what I took out of it. And that principle with the story articulated, I think helps so many people. So we really appreciate it. And it makes it very, it's like encouraging, but also and inspiring, but also fun to listen to. So thank you. You're a joy.
Oh my gosh. Love y'all so much. So honored to get to be a part of this conversation and just a part of the fabric and like in the soil of James River. This is like one of our favorite churches, and y'all are one of our favorite families. And we love y'all. We admire you. And we're just so grateful. So grateful.
Well, this conversation has been the best. And thank you once again for joining us for the Path to Purpose. And we know that this has inspired you to live with greater intentionality in so many areas of your life. If you haven't subscribed, we don't know what in the world you're waiting for.
Do it.
Subscribe, drop a review, share it with somebody you know will be challenged, inspired, encouraged, and strengthened by it. And of course, we'll see you next time. We can't wait.